Going on? Are Democrats losing the Hispanic voting bloc? Recent Quinnipiac polls have Joe Biden's approval rating in the Hispanic community at 24%, and this Reuters video is telling.
Ricardo Aguirre, who runs a taco truck business in Phoenix, Arizona, says contending with the soaring cost of ingredients like tomatoes, meat, and lime is getting too much to bear, and he plans to take out his frustrations at the ballot box.
$6 for this. Before you could get it for $2.99. Double in price.
With inflation hitting a 40-year high, Aguirre, who usually votes for the Democratic Party, said this time's a different story.
Believe me, if the Republican Party has something better to offer us, I will vote, Republican.
Today on my podcast, I'm going to have Jesse from Legsit, who recently scored a Laura Ingraham interview on Fox News to talk about the horrific polling in the Hispanic community for Joe Biden. Take a listen.
Jesse Holguin, who is the founder of Legsit, which is a Latino exit from the Democrat Party. Jesse, the fact that Latino voters are giving Biden a 26% approval rating. I mean, you can sense the shockwaves in Washington. When that poll came out, they're like, no, that can't be true. Does it seem accurate to you where you stand?
Very accurate. I see that all over. And I live over here in liberal LA because it's not so much as we're leaving the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left us. We're not, like you said earlier, we're not cool with this leftism, wokeism, because most Latinos are Catholic or Christian. We're God-fearing people. We have a love for God, so we're totally against that. So that's what we're trying to push, especially us here at Legsit. We're trying to go back to our roots, that Latinos to focus on your godly moral values, focus on your faith.
Now, welcome, Jesse, to my podcast, and welcome to the Dream Rare podcast. We're live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a live show of Dream Rare Podcast. I'm here with Jesse from Legsit. Appreciate you joining me.
No problem, brother. Anytime. Me and you go way back.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you so much. So I want to talk about that polling. I think it's down in the Quinnipiac. It's even lower than what Laura said it was. It's crazy if it could even get lower. But I guess I wanted to know your story of like when you had an awakening, whether it be to God or like maybe more conservative leaning or what you would consider more honest, etc. Yeah, what was your journey like?
Yeah, it was, I was a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat. But what made me, what opened my eyes was my growth in my faith in Christianity and all that. I was reading my Bible, going to church, growing as a believer. I just seen that they were against all my godly moral values. So for my own self, I was like, as a Christian, I could no longer support that party. So that's what did it. For me, it was my faith.
Right. In the Hispanic world, I know there's a lot of like propaganda coming from America, obviously like Telemundo, etc., targeting people. They're also giving out a lot of free stuff. It's hard to deny people that are trying to get you here and help you out. But if you go to, Mexico and a lot of South America, I would say their Christianity is perhaps even stronger than America's. A lot of people are named Jesus, as far as like, after Jesus himself. A lot of families, like you find that I feel like in the Hispanic world, it's more normal for the woman to, hang out at home and let the man work, and that kind of biblical, like God, man, woman sort of thing. Definitely a lot of love for the mom and raising children. So I think naturally Hispanics are more conservative, but this battle of, losing them to the left, has been pretty intense over the last like decade or so.
Yeah. And it's because, too, like you said, because we automatically, blacks, not so only true in the Latinos, for blacks, minorities in general, most of us just grow up automatically thinking we're Democrats. We grow up as that. That's how I was. My family told me we're Democrats. And then I was like, why? And they said, because the Republicans are for the rich whites and the Democrats are for minorities. So it's hard to get out of that stereotype. Like we were already bred into it. And then what doesn't help also, like a lot of people always ask me too, is like, why are so many Latinos and all that Democrats? And I'll tell them, a lot has to do with the Spanish channels, like you said. A lot of people don't know that they could be as bad as fake news CNN. It's just total propaganda. So imagine if me and you, or all we had was fake news CNN all the time, our outlook would be a lot different. So that's why a lot of Latinos have been getting manipulated for so very long like that.
Right. Telemundo, I think, is the only television station maybe all in Spanish, and it's definitely like a CNN. So I've heard on the conservative side, there's a big debate. One, it's like, I understand, when you come to America, people want you to assimilate. They don't want, to have to bow down to every other language, etc., which I understand as a culture and a country. It's like, yeah, this, our language is English, and we want to keep it that way. However, as a businessman, entrepreneur, it's like, I saw this interview with the guy Mr. Beast on YouTube, and he talked how he translated all his stuff into a bunch of different languages, and it's genius, so then the whole world can enjoy it. So it's like, if on one hand, you don't want to cave your culture and official language. On another hand, if you want to win elections and you want to get this generation that's coming over, and maybe they don't speak English, but their kids eventually will, and they eventually will, it really is a straight up monopoly on the Hispanic speaking or Spanish speaking people. Telemundo's got everybody, and there's really nowhere else to go.
Yeah, they got the lock on the market, but imagine that. They got all of that. They have big tech, everything in their favor. And now, I don't know if you've seen it, but it came out yesterday. George Soros funded like $60 million to buy like 18 different Latino radio stations because they're scared, because Latinos are just waking up and we're just fed up. So that's good to see. And especially, me and you, since we've been around since last couple of years, it has changed so much, bro. From the Latino community, especially me, I live right here in liberal LA, and from my neighbors and just everywhere I see, it's way different than it was 3 years ago. Like the whole thing, like Latinos are just fed up with everything.
Right. So to talk about what he's talking about, I see a Fox News article from the other day. It says, George Soros funded liberal takeover of Hispanic radio stations reeks of desperation, critics say. This is straight from Fox. It says, a group partially bankrolled by liberal billionaire George Soros is set to purchase 18 Hispanic radio stations across 10 different markets, but conservatives are fighting back, calling it desperate. So it's funny because, Soros is definitely this guy. He doesn't just take his money and hang out and, invest. He's very political all over the world. But then if you talk about it, they try to say it's anti-Semitic or you're being mean to him. And it's like, we're not being mean. Sometimes people exaggerate and they don't get their facts right. But it's like, the dude, this is what he does, right? He's like a social engineer and tries to really get the world to mold to his politics. When it comes to those polls, like the 24%, 26%, 28% Hispanic, I'm always skeptical of all polls because I'm always like, who are they asking? How many people? And it's hard for, I think, even us sometimes, because as we build our brand, sometimes we get caught in an echo chamber. I like to think I'm not ignorant or anything, but I am self-aware where I don't have as many left-wing, associates as I used to. So do you think that number's real? Do you think that this really could be this massive swing because prices are so high and it's just getting so obvious?
I think that the numbers of people, of Latinos being angry with the Democrats and Biden administration, all that, that's real. But I don't really know if the numbers are real about them going to Republican, because a lot of them, yes, they're mad at the Democrats and they don't like all of them, but some are still not ready to say that they're Republicans or whatever like that. But yeah, definitely the anger, like you said, because it's in everything. You could name it. You could say the border, the Second Amendments, the lockdowns, the jabs, you know what I mean? Like, name it. The the economy, the gas, Latino, we're pissed off at everything, the transgender stuff, name it. And we're pissed off at the Democrats, or socialism, just in everything. So it's not just one thing. I don't want to say it's because of this.
Right.
It's a slew of everything. For me, because there's a lot of Latinos that are real God-oriented, brothers in Christ. So for me, my faith is really big, and the pro-life, right. Pro-nuclear family. That's real big, and that's what's motivated me and a lot of Latinos like that too. But not some are, like you said, because of the gas economy.
Right.
There's a slew of things, but yeah, you can name it, and the Democrats are screwing it up.
I'm glad you brought up mandates, because one thing that I noticed, and it's really sad because bullying vulnerable people is evil, whether it's kids, elderly. But if you want to talk about Hispanics, and specifically, I'm not saying this is all, but specifically, we all know, we see working class Hispanics, many of who don't really speak English that great, but they're hard workers, good workers. these are some of the most hardest bullied people in the country when it came to the vaccine, because it's like you barely could speak English, right? Everybody needs the money. You're working. A lot of people come here from South America, Mexico, send money back to their families. So these wages that people think aren't high enough, they're actually like double dipping and supporting two families. And then you have these crazy bosses look at you and these crazy liberals and tell you, if you don't get the vaccine, you're going to lose your job, and it's hard for everybody, but especially to be, a working class person, which a lot of people are. I felt like that was so evil. And I would notice places that I would go, like a lot of people that were doing hard labor stuff were forced masked as I'm walking right next to them without a mask on. It's not only humiliating, but as somebody who's done physical labor and farming, it's hard enough without a mask on. It's completely out of touch to force people to do that in super hot weather.
Yeah, like you said, we were sick of that. That's why it was hilarious when I was hearing the left and the fake media. They were trying to be like, oh, racist or whatever about the mask. I was like, what? The main people that were not getting the jabs was minorities, with blacks and Latinos and all that. We're all for that. We don't want that. And then just the hypocrisy, like you were saying. We would see Pelosi and all of them, and Newsom at restaurants, but yet our kids can't go to school. We can't go to shutting down churches, but in San Diego they have a strip club open. Just all of that, us Latinos seen it, and then many jobs were shut down. All
right.
That, bro, I'm telling you, that went a long way to go to initially opening the eyes of a lot of Latinos, because they were pissed off about those lockdowns. And everybody knows, no matter what the fake media and Biden and kinds come out in life, everybody knows who was behind the lockdown and who was pushing all that stuff. So they can't keep bamboozling Latinos for that long.
Right. Yeah. It became, especially after a couple months, like Democrats wanted to drag it out forever and Republicans came around pretty quickly. With the prices and stuff in Biden, especially Biden, like as a person, Obama was pretty smooth. Bill Clinton was pretty smooth. The Biden administration, not just him, not only did they seem like incompetent, in my opinion, but they seem totally smug, where, I have to give it to Biden. I'm sorry, I have to give it to Obama and Clinton. They were smooth operators, they weren't as far left as Biden is, but it's like when he talks and when his press secretaries talk, it's not even like they say, yeah, inflation is really bad. This is hurting working people. We all feel it. Meat's up, gas is up, like we're doing our best and we're going to push it in the right direction. That's not the message I get from them. The message is like, oh, we're dealing with it fine. Like right-wingers are exaggerating. Like the Federal Reserve says in their survey that 80% of families have more in their bank accounts. I'm sorry, but no matter what ethnic group you're from, people are like, dude, gas is higher, meat's higher, wages are not flying up, the stock market's way down. Like that's not fooling anybody. So the absolute, disgustingness of them just acting like it's not even a big deal when literally everyone knows it is, I feel like definitely probably hit a lot of Hispanics.
Yeah, it's kind of, to me, sad at this point. He looks like he should be in a home, not in the White House. Like, he totally can't even talk right. Like, he's just totally way too old, all jacked up. So it's like the loony bin is running the asylum. You know what I mean? Like, it's totally, and they try to act like they're the adults and all that. It's all jacked up with these Democrats. So that they have to, but see, they got their fake media lackeys working overtime and just coming out with whatever nonsense, but it ain't getting to them. Like how he tried to come out blaming Russia for the gas prices and everything, Russia for, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
People know. That's why even they were shocked when the Post came out and was saying, nah, people ain't falling for that. We know you're behind all this.
Right.
But the fake media working overtime trying to cover up for him, but they can't, bro.
Right.
That's one thing, especially about Latinos, bro. Whatever the fake media, whatever they say, they don't care when they're filling up their gas tank and it's double. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear nothing else but fix that.
And I think that's why the Democrats, this is what they did with Trump too. They really don't have anything to offer anymore like they used to. So now it's just like emotion, fear, and hate. So it's like, okay, like we're clearly doing everything wrong. Abortion. Oh, that's just not really sticking. We're clearly, gun control. It's like, and now it's like the agenda isn't, here's all the things we're going to do. It's basically like, here's the one thing we're going to do that's actually wrong. And, you know, the other side's bad, so you have to come to us. They're constantly just like being like mental magicians, scaring the crap out of people, like just hoping to get a quick emotional jolt. Like, for instance, the BLM riots, you know, I would say the support for BLM was at an all-time high. Then the support for BLM recently is probably at an all-time low. It's like all they have is this emotional jolt. I know friends that were probably out in the streets with them that now know it's a psyop, but it took a year. So that their whole game is like, can we lie to people quickly, get the votes, and then everybody's going to realize afterwards that they were wrong, but it's too late? Like, that's their whole scam, and they just keep doing it on loop.
Yeah, that's what they do. They just keep jumping. Even like when they get like a crisis, like the shooting, they jump all over it to push their agenda. They don't ever let a tragedy go to waste. Just a lot of times it's just disgusting when I see that. And like I said, it's just them and the fake media just trying to change the subject too, because see, they don't want people to focus on the economy and all these other things that are going, you know what I mean? Like when they're trying to do the jabs on us, all that, whatever. So they're trying to, oh, look, distractions, a bunch of, oh, look, this is not abortion, or whatever it is, whatever, distractions. To me, it's just, that's what they're trying to do, distract us from the terrible job they're doing. But it's just so bad. It's at the point, brother, where it's so bad that they can't even hide it. And that's why, imagine, like you were saying, they have Telemundo, they have all these Spanish, all left-wing propaganda, and it still ain't enough. They even got big tech, bro. They got shit, everything. They even got Hollywood. They even got athletes and all of that. And still they're losing numbers, bro. So they're just desperate, and they don't know how to do it. They can't.
Jesse cut off. Hopefully he comes back. If he doesn't, Jesse, I appreciate you joining me. I didn't cut him off. I think it was his cell phone service, but we appreciate your time. I wanted to say something real quick. If he comes back, I'll let him in. If not, I'll just keep it pretty brief and we'll chat with him a different time. This is something I actually chatted with Jesse about when I saw him in person the other week, but I noticed something when it comes to like Hispanic Americans. Now I actually have a different view than I used to a couple years ago. I'm not talking about people in general. I'm just talking about politically. There used to be the left to right debate where the left would be like, you know, illegal immigrants just bring in as many as they want, which I still disagree with. But I'm just saying it's like, oh, they're going to do these jobs. And then the right wing would say, no, there's workers in America, American citizens who can do the jobs. And when you bring in all these other people, right, the wages stay stagnant. A lot of businesses have more competition and it breaks the job market. Which is true. I still believe that. However, what I'm starting to notice now, and you guys, I want to read some of your comments and let me know what you think it is. I think it was the pandemic, COVID, like a lot of government handouts. But now when you go to every business, right, everybody's hiring, now hiring, now hiring, now hiring. Everywhere I go is hiring. I don't know if I've gone to a single business in the last 2 months that isn't hiring. And if you go to a lot of these businesses, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, I'm just being real. A lot of Hispanics are working these positions and it's like they're short-staffed. So the point I'm trying to get to more than ever, I really don't think that America would be standing right now without Hispanic workers more now than ever, because for some reason people don't want to work anymore. And I think it's part of the plot. It's like lock everybody down, run 100,000 restaurants out of business, open back up, give everybody government handouts, and now nobody wants to keep these jobs afloat. They don't care if even these chains go down, because then it's going to be replaced by Amazon or Uber Eats, and you know, some bigwig will come in. So I find it just, first of all, fascinating that very few people want to work any job. Everyone's hiring. And really, if you live in a lot of parts of the country, it's the Hispanic workers that are keeping this entire country afloat, especially now, because for whatever reason, there's just nobody working, you know? And I'm like, I heard they're paying a lot of money. Someone said even Walmart's hiring. Everywhere's hiring, everywhere. I'm talking this sandwich shop, that place, that bagel shop, small business. Everywhere's hiring all the time. Where are the 20-year-olds that need to work? Where are people to fill these jobs? When I was 19, 17, 18, 29, 28, I worked 15 jobs. I'm just curious. I'm like, where? I heard they're paying at one fast food place like $20-something an hour. They're paying more money than I made when I was like 26 years old to work these jobs, and nobody's taking them. So it's like, it's just bizarre. I think it's a lot of Zoom calls. I think it's a lot of depression. I think it's a lot of technology. I think COVID and the lockdowns really got people out of their loop. And most importantly, or maybe importantly as equally important, is all of these like sneaky COVID government handouts where people are just coasting and nobody wants to work anymore. Someone said playing video games in mom's basement. Seriously though, it's like something's going on, and I'm not one of these people that pander because I'm grateful for America, and I'm not like, oh, we need hundreds of millions of illegals here. Like, no, that's not the play. However, you really got to be honest and be like, if there weren't Hispanic workers in America, I don't think anywhere would be in business right now. Seriously, like every hotel I go to, and people are killing it. They're doing a great job, really nice, friendly people. I give big tips and stuff when I'm like, thank you, appreciate you for being cool and stuff. But it's like, what, where is everybody? In mommy's basement playing video games, complaining about, Donnie Trump. I don't know. Let's read. Someone said, we do need workers. Well, this is the point I'm trying to get to, and then I'm going to move on. Back in the day, we have a lot of workers, and we had a lot of workers. Jesse's about to come back in. Just switch it up, and I'll put you on, Jesse. Back in the day, we had a lot of workers, and we had a lot of businesses, and it was like we didn't need 50 million illegal immigrants. We still don't. But nowadays, it's seriously like, nobody's literally working at all. So I'm like, we have a country full of people. Where is everybody? Hiding inside? I don't know. All right, Jesse's back. That's pretty cool. We got him back. Yo, you're back.
Hey, sorry, it said that my heat was overheating, so it might turn off again, bro. But it says that it was overheating, bro. So hot.
Yeah, it's because you were spitting hot fire, bro. Don't come so correct on my live stream, or else you're gonna melt the steel beams.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Again, I was just saying that the administration is just a joke, brother. It's just a joke, and I feel bad because people Joe Biden, you know what I mean? He should be in a home, brother. That's what I was saying.
Right. I remember I think it was Telemundo or some sort of Spanish-speaking outlet, and when they were covering the Trump debate with Biden, everybody kept saying El Diablo, El Diablo, El Diablo, because if you remember, which means the devil if you don't speak basic Spanish, but his eyes looked hella black, and not like, oh, he has dark eyes. Like, he looked like the devil, and everybody noticed it, like all these Hispanics, so I was like, I think it's a combo of the prices, the restrictions, and really, like, Biden is not a good sneak. He's like too obviously like wicked and like slow and old. Like he definitely talks like a old person at a home, where like even on Jimmy Kimmel, he's like, there's not enough biracial people in television, and he's like the way he said it, it's not even what he says, but how he says it, he sounds like grandpa. It's like, all right, grandpa, we get it, it's not World War I anymore, go take a nap.
But to me, he's not even really running it. To me, it's really a Obama third term. Obama's running everything behind the scenes. Some righteous old leftists, you know what I mean, is over there running it, because he doesn't even know what he's doing, brother. Like, it's pathetic. It's funny to even, like, you notice that? You never see none of the left posting anything like pro Biden, like he's doing good, like things and all that. He's terrible, because he's over here. I think he was over here the last couple of days over here in LA, and you wouldn't even know it, brother. You wouldn't even know that the president was right here in LA. Imagine, even if Trump was here, it would be so many people and everything. You couldn't even tell that Biden was over here, bro. That's how. No, you see when he has a route or any of that, it's all empty. No one likes that. It's like a joke how they try to say that. You know what I mean?
Right. I see you guys with the echo. I think it was the fact. No, it's all good. I think it was the fact that the echo. No. I had my thing on. If you hear me, your phone might be overheating again. But we'll just wrap it up if you have like a minute or two before that happens. Just what do you think that people can do, like to help wake people up and really like shift to the point where we have like numbers of people who common sense get what's going on and don't vote against the best interests of themselves and their country?
Just do your homework, do your research. Don't just keep because your family, whatever, told you that you were Democrats and all that. Do actual research on both sides, because there's a lot of no good rhinos on the Republican side too. So don't just automatically even go for them too. Do your research, make sure you put good candidates in there, and then share when you see good stuff like Anomaly, other good influencers and other info, share it so other people can see it, because a lot of Latinos, they don't really know a lot about policies and things like that, because all the time when I'm talking to them, I'm like, even I was on like a leftist Latino show the other day, and I'm right there telling them all kinds of facts, and they had no idea all the stuff that I was telling them, bro. It was like really sad. Like they didn't know a lot of things. So that's why share it and then tell people everything. All right, speak up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Melanie, for the super chat. I debated a left-wing guy. I had to block him because he was just so annoying. And I was like, bro, I'll have you on the podcast. I'll debate you. But he kept like poking and being weird. Like, you're afraid of me. I'm like, bro, I told you I would talk to you. He was just a weirdo. But anyway, we're talking. And he's like, yo, remember when Trump told people to drink the fish cleaner? And like, he was like, that never won a Nobel Prize for horses. Like, I literally looked up. I'm like, bro, this drug literally won a Nobel Prize for humans. And even after I proved it right, he just like started spiraling and stuff where it makes me just kind of think there's certain people you could reach and wake up, but some people like to be little jesters and they just don't care. But
yeah, there's definitely those ones that are like that. There's nothing you can say. They don't care about truth and facts, none of that kind of stuff. They're just gonna totally emotion or they totally by race, you know what I mean? Because it's ingrained in them so deep that the Republican racist or Trump racist that they ain't even gonna probably listen to you most of the time. But it's a lot's changing, brother. A lot. So just keep on pushing because, like I said, Latinos. I wish that hopefully the black community will start paying attention more. But us Latinos, we definitely are. We're definitely fired. We are pissed off at these Democrats. And I just wish that the Republicans would wake up and be a little bit better because, like I said, a lot of them ain't no good either.
Right. Well, thanks for joining me. I'm going to keep this one a little brief. And where can people find your stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and what you guys are doing with Lexit?
Okay, you on YouTube, follow us on Lexit, at Lexit, and then on Twitter, Lexit Movement 1, and then on Facebook, Real Lexit. And thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Man, you were rocking. You look like you were having a blast over there at AmFest, brother.
Man, give me a stage, give me a microphone, I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Get the party started.
You guys are rocking it out over there, man. You're lounging in the pool, everything.
Man, it was a blast. I'll talk to you soon, Jesse.
All right.
All right, let me see. Okay, so sorry about the echo, folks. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. It was definitely my fault. When people take because Jesse's on a cell phone, I realize this now. When people have computers, it's usually fine and there's no echo without headphones. But with cell phones, either I should have had headphones on or I got to mute myself. So that was actually my fault. I apologize. Yeah, just check them out on the links he showed, and I'll try to share them on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going to answer just a few questions, and then we'll keep this brief. I'll try to keep it under 30 minutes. This is probably going to go up if the audio is good on Dream Rare Podcast, guys. It's on Spotify, Apple, if you're into that sort of thing. Yes, sir. Someone said, are Dems losing Latino voters? Does an owl poop through feathers? LMAO. I've never actually heard that metaphor before, simile or whatever that is, but interesting. Yeah, I think Jesse was right, and he, like he was saying, with different ethnic communities, like I'm not trying to stereotype because obviously everybody's unique, but really I would say like Hispanics, like if I were to generalize and be honest about not everybody, but the majority, a lot of Jesuses, a lot of love for God, a lot of family values, very, very hardworking culturally. Like a lot of Hispanics come here, work a job that a lot of people are like, oh, that's not enough for me. And they live here and send money home and get their family. People don't realize how good the U.S. dollar is. Like the U.S. dollar is king in the world. I don't know if it still is, but it still is pretty damn good. Hopefully it stays that way. So we got it pretty good here. And, in general, I think that's why Hispanics are going to wake up a lot quicker. I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but, definitely in the black community, like when I listen to rappers and I look at where their head's at, there's definitely a few winners. And, there's a lot of great conservatives, people like Kanye that are speaking some truth. But overwhelmingly, it's just true. In the black community, their message is being rejected because people have this message of just like, nah, we don't need to do anything. We don't need self-accountability and self-awareness. We just need to blame everyone else. And it's like, it's not going to work. That's why the voting patterns are just abysmal. I know the right could do a better job of reaching out, but really it's like, at a certain point, people need to prioritize the truth and be honest with themselves, where certain people can help you. Obviously, the government is not your friend, but then you run to the party that's bigger government. You run to the party that wants to take away your Second Amendment, your freedom of speech. That's certainly not the answer. But, everybody wakes up at a different time, but we pray that, people get the message, people get the gist. And like Jesse said, we're not out here shilling Republicans are the best. Like, we don't even like a lot of the people on our side, but in this choice that we have, it's so clear that if our whole country was Democrat, we might still be on some sort of lockdown. In Canada, I don't want to get on my high horse again. I just talked about it with the Jordan Peterson stream, but in Canada, people still can't take trains and planes out of the country if they didn't get the Pfizer vaccine or whatever vaccine, Moderna, AstraZeneca, I don't know anyone. So it's like, this is not this fringe reality of like, oh, no, Canada's not free right now. They're treating people like slave and serf citizens, even though they're happy, healthy, and the vaccine that they want everyone to get doesn't even stop the spread. So it doesn't even make scientific sense. If it was 100% transmission and everybody was getting sick, that's not what's happening. So that's like statistic facts. There's minor things that they could reference, but they can't say that it stops you from getting or spreading the sickness. So the mandates don't even really make sense. But that's the type of country that we would have here if everybody voted with the same patterns of a lot of these people who cry racism and go, oh my God, this is so bad. Bro, if everybody thought like you, this whole country would go to hell. So sometimes it's the people that you hate the most and people that you think are the worst. Sometimes in the weirdest way, those are the ones that are really helping you and saving like any ounce of freedom that we've all accumulated over the course of human history to get to this point. God bless you guys. I appreciate you so much. Share this interview, and I really pray that the audio wasn't too bad. That's on me. So, next time we'll do headphones and microphone. But Jesse's great. I'll have him on again sometime, and he's definitely, check him out on Laura Ingraham. He was just on. Super cool guy. And I want to say, too, him and someone named Betty as well, but I appreciate Jesse, he helped me really get to the White House among a few other people, where he lobbied for, not literally lobbied, but, lobbied for me to get to go with that Hispanic coalition. So I always appreciate Jesse for that, and he's been a good guy. Appreciate you guys, and I'll be back soon with more streams.